Kyle Andrews was just 13 when his parents found out he was gay. They didn't take the news very well at all, and to make things more difficult for Kyle, the family lived in a small country community where being gay was not very well accepted. Kyle's story is one of overcoming enormous rejection and finding the courage and acceptance to be who he is in his young life. I've met Kyle a few times now, and I thoroughly enjoy his company. He is witty, sometimes vulnerable, but filled with love and hope for his future. He is also one of the most courageous young people that I know. I hope you enjoy hearing Kyle. Firstly, I must thank Alan Zamperuti at Strategic Media in Mackay for loaning us his meeting room, Kyle. But also I need to thank you because this is the third go that we've had at filming. First time the video didn't work properly, the second time the sound. So thank you for being so gracious and understanding.
So, it was fun anyway, so I don't mind.
Thank you, Kyle.
That's no problem.
I want to start at the beginning, Kyle. So when do you think you first realised that you were gay?
I think that a lot of it just came down to you go through, because there's not really a point when you're little and you're like, oh yeah, I like girls, or oh yeah, I like guys. It's just you end up looking at what you're looking at, and then it all just comes together around it, and all the pieces come together and you're able to figure it out. And it's then, so that's why I wasn't interested in looking at girls that way, or like bits and bobs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because probably when you're really little, you don't understand anyway.
When you're really little, you don't really worry about that stuff. You worry about toys and who's using them.
Yeah,
basically. So I feel like maybe 10 or 11 is when I started to really be able to put the pieces together and figure out what it meant, and this bad word that everyone's calling me doesn't have to be a bad word anymore.
So that started happening before you
even before I came out as gay, but everyone else already apparently knew.
Yeah.
So they already gave me crap for it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So what about your mum and dad? Because I imagine
in Claremont.
well, you were young when you told them, and how did that all come about?
Well, I was 13 and it was April 16th, and my sister and I had gotten into an argument, and she basically blurts out to Mum, keep going on like this and I'm going to tell them all about your secret. And this was just...
So she already knew?
I had told her like 2 years in advance before actually that night happened. And like I look back on it and I don't hold it against her, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been the person I am today, because that's when everything in my life changed. And she gave me a little bit of a push, I guess. And it wasn't really her fault. I don't hold it against her, just because we were kids and we say stupid stuff just to get at the other person, and it's not personal. And at the end of the day, if they need you, they're there for you, and they love you. But my mother was perfectly fine. She just comes in and she comes, and I'm crying and she's hugging me and she's telling me, is everything all right? Like the only problem I have with Mum now is that she makes jokes where they shouldn't be made, or uses certain words where she knows that they offend me, but she uses them because she's only playing around or having a joke. My father, on the other hand, he was told several days after by my mother, because he was a big worry, and then I had given Mum permission to tell Dad because I didn't want to tell him myself, and then homeless for a little bit.
The proverbial hit the fan.
Pretty much. And my dad and our relationship hasn't been good since. I was kicked out, and I was living over in Hervey Bay for a little bit as well after being homeless, just with my grandma looking after her, because it's while she was sick for a bit. And then I come back after like half a year of homeschooling over there, back to normal school.
What grade were you in at this stage?
I was 13, so I would have been in Hervey Bay until 14, maybe 15, just in between those dates is when I became. So it didn't all happen in like 1 week. It happened over the first periods of weeks of me coming out, and then being kicked out, and then homeless for a little bit, and then moved in with my sister for a little bit, and then moved to Hervey Bay for a little bit, and then moved back to Claremont when everything was chill again, but that was just because I wasn't there. But as soon as I came back, the same stuff just started happening, and my dad's gotten better now. He's just he's still set in his ways of, it's a choice. that you've chosen this, and that he knows all these other gay friends of his that had only tried men because they just woke up one day and like, I want to try this. I'm like, Dad, I've known you all my life, and as soon as you see a gay person, you run in the other direction. You may have like lesbian friends, but they're not really going to understand the point of view of a son and a dad, because a lot of the time dads are just so set against their son being gay, not because the Bible or because the morality behind it. It's just because they want to feel proud of their son. They want their son to, they have a dream for their son, and when it doesn't line up, their world crashes. That's the greatest thing. Most dads want a boy so they can throw balls, teach them to shoot guns, basically do what dads do and what they're meant to do with their sons. And for some reason, my dad saw me being gay as a limit to stop that, and a reason why he didn't want to. But at the end of the day, why does he love me any less the day before finding out I was gay compared to the day after? How does that change anything? How does who I love change him? My partner was down for this Christmas, and our last couple trials, you didn't know about this. We had a big argument because my father wanted to sit down in front of me and my partner and basically tell him about why he thinks it's a choice. And it led to a big argument, and one thing led to another, and there was physicality behind it. Things got physical, and just since then, stuff hasn't been good, I guess. But it's hard just because I want to give him the chance, and I don't want to hold against how he badly treated me when I first came out, because I know that he has changed a bit, but it's not enough at the end of the day. And I know it takes time, but he's not some 76-year-old grandfather. He was in his early 40s when I came out, and that's plenty of time. He's had years and years to be able to just sculpt his opinion to be a little bit different, and maybe instead of thinking that he knows more about being gay than a gay person. That's the thing that really disturbs me, I guess, is that he's so willing to tell me that from all my experience that these gay people are like this, and they're like this, and they're gross like that, and they do this sort of stuff. I'm like, Dad, at the end of the day, do I do that? Do I do anything that you're stating that apparently gay people do? Because I certainly don't. And for you to say that, like, to me, it'd be like if my sister was to go out and start, like, she maybe started dating boys and lost her virginity, okay? That doesn't make her a slut because she's had sex. It's just because you are something doesn't make you something else. And I guess his biggest views about it is when I came out, it was, well, from my experience, men who like other men tend to be predators, because when my father was young, he was sexually assaulted at a scout while he was doing scouts. And so I guess he's had this imprint of pedophilia and homosexuality being the same thing, when at the end of the day, homosexuality is between two consenting people who happen to share the same parts. Pedophilia that's something that I could never look past or forgive him for comparing me to that. Because to me, I've been sexually assaulted and I've been molested. And so I know how it feels, and to be told that I'm as bad as that person who did that to me, how? Every relationship that I've had has been consensual, and it's been with someone that I've cared about. And it's never been based on pleasure. It's never been based on basically anything morally wrong about it. It's just because I want to be happy. And why can't I be happy with someone else who wants to be happy with me? How does that affect anyone else's lives? I guess that's my opinion at the end of the day.
And Kyle, you certainly haven't had it easy, and it is very difficult when, you know, if you're feeling like you don't have your family on side, but you have to live your life as you are guided, I guess.
Make your own family.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle, how did things change for you when you came back and went back to school in Claremont? Because you told me a story about you weren't allowed in the showers with the boys, and you would have to wait outside. There was one time you had to wait out in the rain. So just tell me about your school days.
So basically when the second half of the third year of high school for me, we were doing swimming practice, and it had only just started, and I was getting harassed all the time in the changing rooms. And when I would yell out and speak out against the boys, they would basically go off it like I was the one causing the problems and I was the one looking at them. I was in a cubicle, locked up in a corner trying to get dressed, while you boys were jumping over and throwing wet towels at me and all this different stuff, and just jumping and looking at me more than I would ever look at them. Half of the boys there have gross mullets that haven't been washed for the last 6 months. So there's no, I don't get, you know what I mean? There's no reason why I would want to look at them. And they would go to the teachers and complain about it. And so the head of department, who was also our PE teacher, confronted me and said, well, we're going to try this. For now, all the boys, because they have expressed their concerns, and we don't want to make you do anything and we don't want to make them do anything, but just for the moment, you can wait outside the changing rooms while the boys go in and get changed, and then once they're all done, you can get changed. And it's fair enough, I guess, not really, because I should be able to go in there with everyone else, but I mean, it'd be fair enough if I was allowed to go in first, and then, because that'd take me 2 seconds to get changed, and the rest could go in if they had the problem with me, then making me wait for 30 other boys to get dressed and ready, when that's unfair at the end of the day. But that thing is why would I want to go in first and then have everyone else come in afterwards? Because then that singles me out, and that makes, why is he so special? Why does he get to go in and do that? So I guess in a way I would have preferred the other end. I would have preferred how it was rather than me going first, just because it's awkward and I don't like being the person who's out of place. But the same thing is if you're sitting outside and you've got 20 different kids running past, like laughing at you because they're already dressed and they're giving you crap basically because you're sitting out there waiting. It's fine when you first get to the pool, but when you're done swimming and you're soaking wet and you just want to get changed, and it's the end of the year and it's cold, you don't really want to be waiting for 30 boys because the bus would be here by the time they were done, because the boys would go in there and they'd play around and they'd muck around and they wouldn't go in and get changed. They'd go have showers and they'd be flicking other boys with towels and stuff. They were being gayer than me in there, let's just say that. And they would give me crap for it. But I would have to wait for the boys to all be done so I could go get changed. The bus would be here. And so I would have to rush in. Well, all the boys, and I would be late for lunch because they had to wait for the whole class, obviously, to be able to go back to school. So I would be late, and then other people would give me crap for making them late. And so it was just a big circle of, this is what they're trying to do to fix it, just putting a little Band-Aid on, and there's a little bit of water coming around and stripping that Band-Aid off, because it's just going around in circles. You're fixing one problem, you're adding a new one to it.
What sort of support did you get at school, Kyle?
I guess, sugar. The biggest support that I ever got was from, I had a couple teachers that were a part of the community like me, and I also had a couple of teachers that weren't. I had a teacher that had melanoma cut out of his face, and so all his life he understands what it's like to be bullied, and he taught me how to play ukulele. Throughout my last year of high school that I was there, he taught me how to play ukulele every day. For second lunch, he'd come down and teach me, and he would spend every day with me, and I just think I had never had a better experience with a teacher who just made me feel important. Yeah, it had a lid on it and it spilled a little bit, sorry. But I guess the support at the school wasn't too big, because the amount of times that I had gone to try and organise a Pride event or anything to do with like Pride days, anti-bullying days that were to do with LGBT kids, I would go to the principal a month or so before to try to organise something, see if we could. And that was always an excuse. There was always, not this time, you could wear something yourself, and every rest of the kids couldn't, but you could if it makes you feel special, or no, we can't do it because some parents may have a problem with it. It's just, at the end of the day, they're always finding a reason why to avoid the subject. And so I didn't feel supported by any of my peers or by them.
Do you think that has changed in a way since then, even though it wasn't all that? How many years ago would that have been?
That was 5 years ago when everything first started.
So in the scheme of things, that's not very long ago. But do you think people's attitude, there's more support available for kids that are different?
I mean, there are a lot of kids that I went to high school with that are coming out now after leaving high school, close to the end of their high school journey. But I guess a lot of them were just scared to begin with because they saw how I got treated. But after a bit of that, nothing really too big was happening about LGBT or anything with school, because a lot of kids didn't want to fight for it. A lot of the kids didn't want to be seen as the same because they were scared of the ridicule and the bullying that I was receiving and other people who were out as well were receiving. And so I guess I couldn't say 100% because I haven't been there, but from what I've heard from friends, that the teachers themselves who would always talk about how, thank gosh Kyle isn't here because he just complained about this and he complained about that. And at the end of the day, I'm going to complain about something if I'm not being treated fairly, and everyone else is. So at the end of the day, I don't really know. I couldn't tell you honestly if it has or hasn't, because I don't really have contact with people there at the school anymore, and I don't really have contact with any teachers to keep myself updated. And I guess as parents as well, they can always, and like peers and friends who don't go to the school, can always look in at a school and think, oh yeah, that's a good school, that's all kept well together, they're all good students. But it's until you're there day by day you truly understand what goes on, because your kids don't tell you everything. Your kids don't tell you you ask, how's your day at school today? Oh yeah, good. They don't tell you, this kid said this to me today. I did a bad thing today. I shouldn't have spoken to someone like this. They don't actually tell you everything that leads up to the events, everything that happens to them. They just say, oh, it was good. Oh, it was crap. That's all you hear. So it's really hard, especially now, because my partner, he's got younger step siblings who are in school. You see the different attitudes compared with a 16-year-old to a 7 to 8-year-old girl. You see the different attitudes and how the 7 or 8-year-olds are so much nicer than the older kids, because the attitude they're around at high school is just, it's crap for everyone, I guess. And so everyone takes it on everyone. So I can say, in high school there are times where I said things where I shouldn't have said, or I could have been an asshole, basically, to be frank. But it's about how we grow from that and how we learn from that. But at times, that was a reflection of how I was being treated and how I was taking it out and how I was releasing this anger, and was to be, basically, you had to have a thick skin, you had to have everything bounce off of you in high school, because you would take so much from so many people. And so as soon as anyone else would say anything, you'd take it one personally, but anyone else would say anything to you, you'd always just be on edge. You'd be ready to attack, because you can't have a thick skin when everyone else is tearing it down.
So Kyle, how did you grow and learn from those days?
Looking back, I guess going throughout high school, I look back, and now, because I never got the chance to finish school, for me it was continue to be attacked every day, or don't go to school, because I'm from not a very wealthy family, so we can't afford the travel fees to go an hour away to the nearest school. And so for me, I look back and I think, I wish I could have done this, I wish I could have done that, I wish I was given the chance to do that, I wish I didn't have all these other problems that were in my way distracting me from doing what I wanted to do at school. Because how can you work at school when you've got so many things going on, and you've got so much stuff going on in your head, physically, mentally? It's draining, and it's hard, and it's supposed to prepare you for adulthood, but it shouldn't give you depression. It shouldn't give you the same stress that, I guess, having a mortgage would give you. You shouldn't feel that stress from going to high school. And I guess it's a lot of things that the older generation now, they always say, oh, I miss how things was back in my day at school, or things used to be different, or if you had a problem, you'd just punch the boy and you'd go on, and you two would end up best mates the next week. But that's not how it runs anymore. Education's completely different. It's the school, how would school be the same 60 to 50 years afterwards, when we know so much more things now? There's so many more new things to learn. There's so many different tests, curriculum testing, like NAPLAN and everything like that. That is some of the most stressful times for any student, just because you're scared, I guess, that you're going to fail and you're not going to do well, and you don't want to be seen as part of the dumb group, because that's what a lot of today's groups are at school. Is the older schools, you had the smaller groups like the goths and the football people and the nerds and stuff like that, but now you've got so many different people, so many different identities, unique. Everyone's unique, and there's so much more separation, segregation in the groups. It's the races. You've got one race sitting with one race, a white kid sitting with the white kids, Asian kids sitting with Asian kids. You've got gay kids sitting with each other. You've got all these different separations that I feel like back in the day you didn't really have as much as that, because you'd all basically have to pretend to be the same. Today's day, you're able to be who you are more freely. Well, you say that, but still people have problems with it. But I mean, I can't really see too big of a change in the last 5 years. I mean, we've gotten marriage, which is an awesome step. But like, after I had a bad car accident not too long ago, and I was in surgery, and I won't name the hospital, but my partner and I, we were all cleared for us to stay there that night. I was just come off 6-hour emergency surgery, and my partner was cleared to stay, and then the night nurses came in, and because we were not married, he had to go. And so my partner, after me almost dying, being in a 6-hour long surgery, him standing right next to me while I'm screaming, while I'm getting stuff pulled out of my head, he was not allowed to stay the night with me because we weren't married. And I feel like that's a lot of the time, the domestic part and the domestic relationships that aren't, you're not married, that's the only time gay people will get recognition, is if you are married. Yes, we've got the ability to get married now, but for those people who haven't gotten married, you're treated so much differently.
So there's still, a big attitude change that needs to happen within our society. Kyle, tell me about the drag, because you love dress up, and so to me that's an interesting aspect of what you do. So
I guess it is a little bit different, but I mean, that's how I first started getting into makeup in general at all, was watching RuPaul's Drag Race. And I told you about this last time. I grabbed my mum's cheap reject shop 120 shade eyeshadow things that cost like $12 and they're terrible quality, and I just went there with my fingers and I was trying, and I've got it's a photo I'm never showing anyone, but it's a photo of me with my bleached blonde hair, and I've got this terribly done pink lipstick and just blue electric eyeshadow on my lid, and I looked like Kat from Kath and Kim, honestly. And I'm not showing anyone that photo.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
No. I spoke about it with ABC as well, and they mentioned it in the thing. They said there is this forsaken photo he is not showing anyone with him with terribly applied makeup for his first attempt, and he hopes it never sees the light of day. But no, I guess a lot of the time for me doing makeup was an escape, and being able to do this character and do this drag, for me, it's just like I'm someone else that people don't hate. I'm someone else that people don't know. I'm someone else that people haven't had negative experience with, because when you're a drag queen, you can get away with saying a lot because people take it as comedy, and people get your comedy better than they would if you were just plain Jane, you know what I mean? If you're just sitting there, no makeup on, and you say something, you can't get away with it as much as you can be a drag queen, because that's what they're meant to do. It's meant to be funny. So I guess for me, it was be able to have an escape. I was able to express my feelings truthfully and not be told to shut up every single time.
So, Kyle, you say it's based on comedy. Do you feel funny and happy when you're that other... So what's the character's name?
Davide Della Cush.
Right.
Yes.
Davide. So when you're Davide, does that make you feel happier? And
I guess to me I can be happy when I'm Kyle, but I can be happy when I'm Davide. It's just based on what I'm feeling today and what I'm doing. If I'm going to a party or something like that, and I just want to have fun, and I don't want to worry about my hair looking like this, or like the hole being my button up, because when you're in drag, you there's nothing coming apart. Everything is together. You've got 8 layers of stockings, you've got a waist trainer, you've got a corset on, you've got everything on, and you've got padding, so you just feel confident. You feel, I look great. I look awesome at the moment, and I'm gonna own this, because normally I have confidence out of makeup, I have confidence being myself, but it's different aspects of my confidence.
That is very interesting, because you do that. You are a very confident person in spite of everything that you've been through. So sorry, I just wanted to say that. Continue.
But it's just basically when I'm a boy, I'm able to be more confident, like guns and country and growing up with stuff like that, because a lot of the time I have to pretend like that when I'm around certain family members or stuff like that. So it's, for me, when I'm in drag, I can go sit with my girlfriends and talk about problems, or this argument that I had with my boyfriend, or you can just open up about things to me about it. And I feel funny just because I have the confidence to be quick when I'm in drag. I have the confidence to, instead of saying, oh no, I won't say that, I'll hold my tongue, even though it's funny, but it's a bit out of place. If in drag, you don't care, because people expect it of you, I guess. You could go up to someone and they'll come and they'll want to get a photo taken with you, and they'll be like, say something funny, but they won't do that if I'm just Kyle. You know what I mean? But I guess with a drag queen, you can tell if someone likes you or not, because if they like you and they're walking close to you and they've got a smile on their face, you can tell they're going to have fun. But if someone leaves the room, then you tell they don't like you. So you don't have the problem of dealing really with people who you do every now and again, if they're people who want to give you a problem. But a lot of the time, you'll be able to tell the people who are or aren't comfortable with it. And so you can base, okay, I won't wear drag for that place, or I won't do that there, or I won't even wear makeup at that place, even as Kyle, just because it's not safe to, or stuff like that. So I wouldn't go out and drag if I was going out, walking by myself in the afternoon to go do some shopping. I wouldn't do that. I'd wear drag going over to a friend's house to have a couple drinks and to play cards and just hang out. Or I'd wear drag to go up to the club, or I'd wear drag for an event that I was set up to perform in drag, or do anything like that. But for me, I guess it's just the escape that I love. Yeah.
Kyle, thank you so much for sharing your story for the third time with me. But we'll get it out there this time, and I really appreciate it. And honestly, I think you're amazing. What you've been through and who you are now, the confidence you have in your life, you are a testament to yourself.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kyle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching our video. I hope you enjoyed it. And please try to remember to just click on the subscribe button so we can keep you updated with everything that's happening. Thank you.